Currently, testing. Okay, currently I am living at the United Methodist Church in a fifth wheel parked out there. Well, there's one more. After mine's gone, they're not having any more RVs out there. I came here because I had 2 part-time jobs in Eastern Washington. Both of them were paying pretty good, and I had applied for one position at JRA, junior, helping youth, incarcerated youth. I didn't get the position, so I thought, okay, I had been a substitute teacher, a para-educator, and I wanted to get into bus driving because I was kind of sick and tired of working under teachers, because they have their methods, and you want to follow their methods, but sometimes, you have some ideas of your own, and by golly, how dare that happen. So I got into bus driving. I really liked it. So I was part-time bus driving and doing a lot of JRA work during the day. That paid well, but I wasn't, combining on both. I had a fairly good income, but I wanted to work one job, because my whole life I had worked 2 and 3 jobs. And I'm going on like 35 years of doing that. I'm getting tired. So I just want to have one job that pays well. So anyway, I applied for the JRA position full-time, didn't get it. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Because I was ready at the drop of the dime. I had moved, I was available on short notice. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing that anymore. So I came up here. I lived with my ex. He was very gracious to let me live with him. We were friends. He let me live in his house. And, I would clean house, cook dinner, do whatever I can, paint whatever I could, because I couldn't afford rent at that time. I came to Tukwila School District. Well, when you come on for Tukwila School District as a driver, you get 4 hours a day. You get 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. Well, that didn't sound like a very good idea to leave Richland for, right? But I knew it would turn into something because Tukwila is a small community. There was lots of overtime available, a lot of midday work available, so I'm doing okay. I can do better. So as it goes, Chris told me that he had a girlfriend, and I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me this after being here a year and a half? He goes, so what are your plans? And I'm like, I'm doing great, I'd give him a little rent every once in a while, keep the house up. Yeah, I'm doing fine. So he goes, you need to make a decision. He goes, well, I don't bring my girlfriend over on Friday at 5 o'clock, she's gonna leave my ass. Okay, sorry children. So I was like, okay, red flag there for you, but it's his house, and okay. So I had to have a place. He had given me until the end of February to get out, and then he tells me the week before, I believe it was on a Thursday, and he said, you need to be out by next Friday. I'm like, okay, how's this gonna happen? So and he knew that I was looking for like RVs or whatever, but anything under $1,000 is a piece of junk. It's garbage, it's rotten. I had been all over the west side looking for a place. So I called this kid up, and I went to North Bend, and he'd been living in this RV since he was in high school. Okay, so it was a little party RV is what it was, but it was a real piece of junk. He wanted $1,900 for that. I believe I looked at it on Sunday, drove back, and I'm like, Chris goes, well, you got to be out by Friday at 5. She's coming over, and I'm like, okay, does she know I'm living here? And he's like, no. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I called the kid back on Wednesday, and I said, hey, look, I know you're asking $1,900 for this RV, but all I have is $700. It was in the middle of the month. We get paid once a month at the school district, the last day of the month. So I took out every payday loan I possibly could, and I told him, I go, this is what I got, this is the best I can do. Will you take $700? And he went blank for like 3 minutes. And I'm just like, please God, I said a prayer before I even called him. And I just like, either it is or it isn't. And the boy goes, yeah, I will. I said, look, I'm going to be homeless if you don't give this to me. You know, if you don't take $700, I will have no place. So the boy did it. Well, it was still, he never got it put in his name, so that was a problem with the title, but as it goes anyway, that's a different story. So, so I got it. It broke down from North Bend on I-405 in rush hour traffic. My son, Sherelle is his girlfriend, and my little grandson, who is, wow, a year and a half old then, they were following behind in the car. Well, here I am in the RV and it cuts out, and I'm scared to death. So my son's like cussing up the storm. He got it to the side of the road. We had to go to the side of the road, roll it down the hill in neutral, and I'm thinking, great, now I gotta pay a tow job, right? Gotta pay a tow truck. So my son eventually, and we're up by the guardrail, so now he's even madder because we can't get the door open, okay? But anyway, as it goes, he got it started, I followed behind, get it up, get my stuff stuffed into it, and I called him. I said, yeah, Chris, I'm about 2 hours late. He's got his girlfriend in the car. And I'm like 2 hours late, it broke down. So we're stuffing all my stuff inside the RV. I got all my stuff inside the RV. Sherelle was helping me, and I'm like, put it in park. Where am I going? You know? Where am I going? Before that, in 2008, I had 2 homes. I had a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house that I purchased myself. My first home I got for $28,000 in Sunnyside, Washington, which I purchased myself. So I thought I'd be smart and do the real estate thing, and I put money on this house to buy this house, right? Don't ever do that. Just stay with your original house. So I ended up losing both houses in 2008 due to inconsistent wages. So I traveled the state. Those days I traveled the state as a traveling certified nurse's aide. That was a lot of fun, and we lost people. But anyway, so I'm driving my RV down the road in Burien, and I'm like, where do I go? So I went down 3 blocks to the dog park, and I parked it. And I'm like, this is it. Think about it for a while. No heat. I had my blankets. I had plenty of blankets. At that point, I didn't have time to clean the RV up because I had just purchased it. So I'm like freezing my rear end off. And it's drafty, you know, it's got holes here and it's got holes there. No heat, but hey, you know, there's a porta potty across the street. That's kind of a plus because they were building a house. So, you know, is glass half full, is glass half empty. So I found pleasure in that I didn't have to poop in there. I could go across the street. So I stayed there for about 2 weeks, and the neighbors complained because there was an RV park there, but somebody had wrote a note, and I think it was Chris's girlfriend, that there was human feces outside the RV, which was not true. What I was doing is I was detailing inside the windows. I was getting mold out of the inside of the windows, and you know how you could take a knife or something like that, and I was putting it in a little bucket out there, but somebody had done that. And so I come home from work one day and the cops are there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the cop's writing a ticket, he's getting ready to tow it. Well, I had issues with paperwork, but I had already planned. My son picked up one of those trip permits. He picked up a trip permit, and I go, I don't need a trip permit now, they're getting ready to tow it. So he jumps in his car and he comes down there and goes, you can't tow it. So he holds up the trip permit, you know, filled it out. So then I started up. I mean, it started, but I didn't know how long or where I was going to have to drive to, so I tried not to drive it at all. Just, you know, firing it up every once in a while, make sure it'd still go. So then I had the keys to the gate at work, Tukwila School District. And I pulled in there the night before, and I knew that I would probably get in trouble because it's a state facility. You know, that's not a good place to go. But it's like, maybe they'll just think I got to work early in my RV. With no tabs. So I worked for the transportation department. and as a school bus driver. So I pull in there and I'm like, wow. I could have plugged in to the little hut at that point, because we didn't have the new facilities that we have now. We still had that little shed, the porta potties. Again, thank you, Jesus. Here's a porta potty. So I parked there, and my boss, Kathy, is anybody familiar with any of the teachers or anybody? I know you are, Miss Jenny. So does anybody familiar with anybody over at the school district? Okay, well, Kathy, I fessed up because we had to, our transportation office was right there at the corner. But they built a new one for us, and it's down, and we have a new building and everything. But I told Kathy, I was like, Kathy, I had to come in here last night. She goes, what's going on? And I said, well, I'm homeless. She was like, okay. She goes, so she comes up, and, you know, a couple of the drivers, obviously, because that's where we pick up our buses, a couple of the drivers are like, okay, what's up, Paula? I was like, well, I'm here. And so I know Kathy called administration, and it was Ruth Berry at that time who just ended up leaving here at the school district. She was our interim superintendent, and Kathy said something to her. She's like, okay, well, she's down there. And, you know, they tried to shut their eyes, you know, look the other way, but you only do that for so long, you know. So that got me about 3 weeks. Then after 3 weeks, is anybody familiar with United Methodist Church around here? Raise your hand if you know where that is. It's the food bank. Food bank underneath, Tuesday's table on top. Okay, so does anybody know Jan Bowlerjack? Jan Bowlerjack? Okay, she's a pretty awesome lady. She's the pastor there. And I had talked to her one time about car camping because I thought that was going to come to. And I said, hey, look, you know, I ended up, you know, I never made contact with her because I thought things were working out. And she's like, okay. I said, but I do have an RV now. So I parked in the back of the church. And I was scared to death. But at this point, I had got a friend of mine at work had loaned me a kerosene heater. Anybody ever use one of those? They stink. And if you don't have proper ventilation, it can kill you. But, you know, I had figured the only thing that saved me was the holes that were inside the RV. That was the ventilation. But you can get pretty warm with them. So I believe that that's what saved me. So that was from one friend. And then Kathy, who was head of transportation at that point, she gave me a little cook stove, a propane cook stove, and that's how I made my food and everything. You know, but I was lucky because around me there were people in tents. And it was pouring down rain, and it was cold. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. You know, thank you, Jesus, for what I have. Thank you, Jesus, for my job. I don't know if it's supposed to be a religious thing, but it is to me. This is my journey, and yeah. And like right now, so anyway, I did completed that year, which I very easily could have gone back to Eastern Washington and had a better life. But I guess I had something to prove to myself. I figure I always want to come to Seattle and make it, you know? And so I think that I've proved my point. But what happened was I finished out the year, and I'm like, why did I do that? But I did. It was perseverance. But when I first went to the church, it was really scary. I do believe, from what I saw with my own eyes, that there was human trafficking going on there. I know 100% there was drugs going on there. Heroin addicts. You can only do so much because it's not like they have the funds to hire somebody to run the facility, because they don't. They don't get those millions and millions and millions of dollars because they're a private entity, because it's a religious organization. But let me tell you what, they never turn anybody away, never. And we've had some pretty bad cases. They can go up there and we'll try and we'll have food for them. I've had people that's like, oh my God, how are you even walking? but we'll have food for them. You know, we try and keep our fridges stocked, you know, just like it's peanut butter and crackers or something. But we can't take everybody. But anyway, as it goes on, the story, I finished up the year. I was getting ready to go back to Eastern Washington for the summer and then figure out what I was going to do next. This was last summer. Not this summer, but the summer before. And Janica, she goes, hey, Paula, because I didn't always have a lot of time to do stuff, but when I did do stuff, I did what I could in the amount of time that I had. You know, I just get a wild hair and I'd like start cleaning something, or I'd organize something, or clean out the fridge, or whatever. She's like, hey, Paula, I was wondering, what? And I was kind of thinking this in my head too. She's like, would you consider coming back in the fall and like be staff? I'm like, yeah. I said, I don't even have to think about that, Jan. I said, I feel like I've already made that decision without you even asking, you know? So it was kind of like mental telepathy or something like that. I don't know. We were kind of thinking on the same lines, but me and Jan, we don't talk very much. We just pick up. Do you ever have a friend like that where you leave it where you leave it and you pick up and you talk about where you left it, right? You don't have to keep texting each other all the time. And you know, there's those people who are like texting all the time. It's like, well, okay, well, this is what we're doing. You don't have to go about all of this because this is what we're doing. So I feel like we have that mindset. Anyway, I didn't have to think twice. I said, okay, I'll be back in the fall. And I went home to Eastern Washington for a little while. Oh no, I take that back. That was the summer that I stayed and I did summer school because I had asked for an extension. I said, can I just do summer school and then leave 6 weeks later? She's like, oh yeah, sure. So after summer school, then she asked me to stay, which only left me a month left. So I slept for 3 weeks. I stayed 3 weeks in Eastern Washington and then came back. So anyway, that's where I live. That's my story. And at this point in my life, I don't even know what I do there. Sometimes I clean, sometimes somebody will come to me and it's like, I gotta talk to you because everybody else is crazy around here and you're the one with the level head. And I'm like, okay, what is it? Okay, I feel better now. And it's like stuff like that, you know? Or clean the fridges or whatever needs to be done is what I do there. I pay no rent. I live in Seattle. Am I ashamed of being homeless? Not anymore. I feel I'm where I need to be, you know, and whatever that is. And I've also done a lot of growing. Hi, Coda. I've also done, this is my grandson. I've also done a lot of growing, like within myself. And, you know, I do attend church. I am not a United Methodist, but I'm Baptized Brethren, which is Protestant. But, you know, they read out of the same Bible. It's just, I'm okay, you know, and that's where I'm at. That's my story.